Welcome back to Bazaar Morning Call. The tiding has been very good for the market. In fact, we've been hitting record highs day after day. And, there's been big outperformance coming in from banks. Yesterday, you had participation from Reliance. So really no complaints in this market. Our research team is standing by to help you with a list of top 10 stocks as we begin the day. Let's take it straight to Ekta to talk about Dr. Reddy's and why you should be watching that one. Ekta, good morning.
Morning. Well, there is an acquisition which has taken place by Dr. Reddy's. They will be acquiring a nicotine replacement therapy category drug, which is called Nicotinell, and its related brands from Haleon PLC for £500 million. Now, the total revenue of the portfolio, which is being acquired, was around £217 million in CY23. This compares to around £200 million in CY 2022 and £201 million in CY21. So there's not been a significant amount of growth in terms of this particular drug. Valuation works out to be around 2.3 times revenue and 9.2 times EBITDA. Key markets for it is UK, EU, Australia and Japan. Now, in terms of the impact for this, a couple of positives is that the acquired brands have roughly around 25% market share in a category which is growing around 5%. This will make Dr. Reddy's the second largest player in key markets. The company is expecting to generate around 25% EBITDA margin. But the negatives is that the acquired portfolio has been growing at less than mid-single digits, and it will exhaust 80% of Dr. Reddy's existing net cash in books. And that will probably be a key concern because other pharmaceutical companies are diversifying into more complex segments, whereas Dr. Reddy's has now used a large part of its cash in a consumer healthcare category.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So Dr. Reddy should be on your radar. Continue to watch the telecom stocks today. Remember, yesterday was a big day. Reliance Industries was up 4%. Bharti Airtel saw a gain of 3%. We saw big moves in Bharti Hexacom with an 8.5% rally, and even Vodafone Idea chimed in as it climbed above that 18 rupee mark. Now, yesterday, the Spectrum auctions concluded. It concluded on day 2, very muted bidding. The overall spend was at 11,340, much lower than the 96,000 crore, which was an offer. And this is the lowest spend that we've seen since 2014. So point number one, the bidding was fairly limited, no overbidding. If you see the telco-wise details, Bharti Airtel bid the most, nearly 7,000 crore rupees, as it looked to acquire the spectrum where the licenses were getting renewed and were up for renewal. And secondly, some top-up capex. Jio, despite putting in the maximum earnest money as a deposit, bid the least, buying less than 1,000 crore rupees. Vodafone Idea was a bit of a surprise on the upside. So Vodafone Idea has bid for 3,500 crore rupees. The street was working with 1,000 to 1,200 crore rupees, but maybe it just shows the confidence in their ability to service, buy, and the fact that they're buying top-up capacity. So they've not just bought spectrum where, it's expiring or renewal is up. They've also bought some extra capacity to bolster their 4G outlay. So that could be read positively. Also, the hope about a price hike is upon now that the spectrum auction has been concluded. So that's about the telecom stocks. Keep watching them. Moving on now to Sonal for more on PI Industries. Sonal, why should we watch it?
Well, there's an acquisition. The company has been talking about that. They have gone ahead and made an acquisition of Plant Healthcare PLC, which is into biologics, and it is a provider of novel patent-protected biological products to global markets. The total consideration for this particular acquisition is £32.8 million, or at the current exchange rate at 346 crore rupees. The acquired company had revenues of $11 million with gross margins of 60%, but losses of $4 million. This is as on 31st December. Now, remember, PI Industries raised some funds via QIP. They have cash in the books to the tune of 3,900 crore rupees. But the brokerages like the acquisition. Jefferies has a buy call with a target of 4,750. They say acquisition would give annual revenue potential of $75 million, and valuation is attractive considering the new product traction as well. Centrum says that they believe it will strengthen their biologics portfolio, something that they've been focusing on. However, it will be EPS decretive because it is a loss-making company right now, and it is also at the nascent stage, but they expect it to improve going forward.
All right, Sonal, thanks very much for that. So that's PI Industries in focus, but more stuff in the news. There is CSB Bank, where there is, I think, a block, and there is Archean Chemicals as well. Abhishek has got details on both these. Abhishek, morning.
Morning, Prashant. So sources do tell us that there is a block in CSB Bank of FIH, which is about to sell about a 9.72% stake in the bank. Post this stake sale, they'll have about 40% left in the bank. So they'll continue to hold that because lock-in period is about 90 days. The offer size is about 595 crore. The floor price is at 352.4 per share, which is at a mere discount of just 1% to yesterday's closing price. A sole broker to this issue is IFL Securities. Now, sources do tell us that Archean Chemicals, there will be a clean out trade over there. Seller is India Resurgent Fund, which has Scheme 1 and Scheme 2, wherein the portfolio holds this stock, and as well as Piramal Natural Resources Private Limited. So, the offer size is about 10.13% of the total equity in the company. Quantum wise, the offer size is about 818.7 crore. Floor price is at 655 per share, which is at a discount of 5.3% to yesterday's closing price. The sole broker to this issue is Axis Capital. Back to you.
Okay, thanks for that. Well, let's go across to Vivek now to talk about JSW Energy and KEC International. Vivek, over to you.
Well, good morning. Some news on both of these particular companies. First up, JSW Energy. Some important PPAs that the company has signed. So, power purchase agreements that the company has signed. Now, this is worth almost 1,325 megawatt. Two separate PPAs that the company has signed. The first PPA is with the Solar Energy Corporation of India. 1,025 megawatt worth of PPAs that the company has signed, and the other one is with GUVNL, which is Gujarat Urja Vikas Nigam Limited, 300 megawatt of PPA signed over here. So now the total PPA locked-in capacity of the company has jumped up to almost 13.6 gigawatt. The next company on the radar, like we mentioned, is KEC International. The order inflow cheer continues over here. The company has received new orders of over 1,025 crores. Now, this is for the T&D as well as the cables business. For the T&D business, the company has secured orders both India as well as abroad. One order from India has come from Power Grid Corporation of India, one order in West Africa, and the other one for supply of poles in Americas. Now, what this particular order entails is that YTD order intake now has jumped up to 4,000 crore, which is 70% higher on a year-on-year basis. Order book, remember, at the end of FY24 stood at 29,644 crore. So some positive news will come in for KEC as well.
Okay, thanks for that. Well, Eureka Forbes is the other stock that we're looking at. There was an analyst meet and we're going with green on the stock today because the takeaways are positive. The company's main focus area actually is strengthening and leveraging its direct sales network. They are also looking to enhance their service network through various things like capacity building, enabling technology, go-to-market strategies. And, 36% of their revenue comes from the services space, 42% from electrical water purifiers, where they see good demand coming through, and 14% from vacuum cleaners. Now, they also talk about how the penetration in India is very low at the moment. So there is a lot of opportunity, especially in things like, electric water purifiers and vacuum cleaners. The penetration in India, water purifier penetration in India is only at 6%. And we've been seeing so many news reports about water contamination, etc. So they believe that this space, the water purifier space, is something that can grow quite well. It's only 12% in urban and it's only 3% in rural India. So that's a space where they see long-term growth potential. And the other things are macro growth drivers like urbanization, increased working women population and rising income levels. But I think the stock will be in the green today because of positive takeaways. But let's not forget, if you pull up a 6-month chart of Eureka Forbes, it's actually been under a lot of pressure. It's down almost, 15% in the last 6 months in a market that has been gaining. So just keep that in mind as well.
Okay, let's do a quick recap then of the top stocks that are on our radar this morning. Stocks with positive news flow are, let's get to them. Sorry, just a moment. Dr. Reddy's, Reliance Industries, Bharti Airtel, Bharti Hexacom, PI Industries, CSB Bank, Archean Chemicals, JSW Energy, KEC International, and Eureka Forbes. There are absolutely no stocks on our radar that are likely to open in the red.